Hello, everybody. I am the Inconsequential Runner. Welcome back to the channel. Coach Mark, hello to you.
Hey, good to see you, Darcy. How you going?
Yeah, I am going great. And Coach Mark, you know how these go. If you're joining us for the first time, let me quickly tell you, we have Coach Mark here. He's a great coach, great running coach. What we do in these videos is we do short, sharp questions, one question per video, so we get some good information quickly that we can start to embed into our running routine so we can become better runners. Right. Thank you for that. That's the overview of what this video is about. If you like the sound of that, and at the end of this video, you enjoy it and you want to be kept in the loop with those other questions we ask, you know what to do. Hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, it's a good way to pay back to just click on like, and that'll be great. Hey, thank you so much. If you have any questions yourself, pop them below. Coach Mark, thank you for your patience. I have a question for you. In one of the previous videos, we talked about the warm-up we should be doing pre-race. And you gave us two types of warm-ups, one to do for those races that are 2.5 hours and longer. And one to do if those races are 2.5 hours and shorter. And what we focused on there was the physical element. So those of you that haven't seen videos, just go back into our back catalog. I think, Coach Mark, they're only about 3 or 4 videos back.
That's right. Yeah.
So the question we've got for you now is this. What do we do for mental prep? Because when we talked about that warm-up specifically for the 2.5 hour and shorter races, we talked about the 10 to 20 minute warm-up, the dynamics. We talked about the stride outs, the stepping, the skipping. But then that takes us to that window where about 5 minutes before we start a race. Is there something we should be doing in those 5 minutes? And is there something we should be thinking of on the mental thing? So what we're asking you, Coach Mark, is what else can we do in that window where we're standing on the start line to be even better in the race? What do you think, Coach Mark?
Yep. Yeah, well, definitely that last 5 minutes actually before the start can be quite key, especially if the race is quite short. You can almost make or break your race, actually. You can do all the training right, you can do the tapering right, you can do a good warm-up. But if you're not mentally geared up when the gun goes, sometimes if it's a very long race, then you can get into it, so it doesn't really matter. Yeah. But it is worth having a few little techniques to to get yourself up for the race. And generally, it falls into 2 camps. So either most people are quite nervous. Really, that's normally the problem before a race. They're very, very nervous, very anxious, and almost anxious to feel like a condemned person walking to the gallows.
I ask myself, why am I here? That's some of the
right. Why am I
in
here?
my head. Why am I here? Why have I volunteered for this? Because I know what's about to come. Coach Mark, I'll get you to talk about some of those elements then that we do need to think about. Just quickly for those that are watching, when you talk about a short race as opposed to longer, I imagine you're talking about anything up to 5K, potentially a 10K is your definition of short, or?
Yes, well, I think anything where you're going to be running significantly faster than your normal training pace would probably be a good way to look at it.
Okay.
So one where you really need to be, in 5 to 10, especially 5K, you don't really have that time to just warm up in a first kilometre, because then sort of your race is gone. If you're aiming for a good time or a good position. Yeah, so that's pretty much what I'm talking about there.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
All right, so we stripped off all the gear. We're on the start line. You were just talking about, before I interrupted you, I'm sorry, about the mental aspect and the sorts of things you're thinking. And I held up my hand to say, yeah, some of those thoughts are negative. And my mind thinking, why am I here? You talked about nervousness and yeah, gosh, some people, even myself, I get nervous before some types of training runs, just because of the nature of the training run. But let's bring it back to the race. So we're standing on the start line. We've done our warm-up. We're standing there. We're freaking out a little bit. It's a short race, so we need to get ourselves in the right mindset. So what sort of things should we be thinking about?
Well, you take it back to how you felt before you did the race, you were generally pretty excited or pleased to be doing it.
Yeah.
So that's what you got to get yourself back to, that mind frame. So the first thing is to feel grateful that you're actually fit enough to be in this event, and look around and go, well, this is a great event. I'm with a bunch of very fit people. I'm able to do this. That in itself is a victory.
Yeah.
And the people who you're running with as well. You know, it's easy to see it almost like gladiatorial, you know, me against you, and that can be quite daunting. We're all sort of in it together, like kindred spirits, which is the way to look at it. We're all striving together. In fact, compete or competitor actually comes from a Latin word that means to strive together. That's actually where it comes from.
Yeah.
So nice. by working together, we will all perform better than we would if we just went out and ran, say a park run, for example. If we just went and ran it by ourselves, we're more likely to run better if we were all working together. So if you look at it that way, then we're all just a bunch of kindred spirits, all trying to do as well as we can. If you beat me, good luck to you, but I'm going to do my best, and you're going to have to, you're going to have to do well if you want to beat me.
Nice.
So that in itself, that just takes the pressure off. You're automatically thinking positive. You're in a good event. It might be a lovely day. You're fit. Got lots of great people around you. Let's bring it on. The other thing is so the feelings we get in the body's responses to nervousness are exactly the same responses to excitement.
Right.
It's just our mental shift of what it is. There's a guy I know, he used to, at the start of a race, he would suddenly yell out, he'd go, well, this is exciting. And if I would turn and look at them, what are you on about? But it often got a chuckle amongst everyone as well. So that's
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, but you can say it to yourself, but you don't have to say it out loud.
Well, yeah, Coach Mark, I think you put that challenge out there. And I remember one race, we were, I think, about 4K into a 10K race. And, that's when you really start to suffer a little bit if you're not already. And someone yelled out, here we all are then. And it was just so funny, like, well, here we all are, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So to recap on a couple of those points, I like that. The first thing is thinking about being grateful. And one thing I tend to think about, and I don't know if there's a bit of a dark element to this. I don't think there is, but I do think sometimes this could be my last race. So I really appreciate the fact that I've got the opportunity to run this, because you never know when your race is going to be your last race. Now, all going well, my last race, I'll be in my 80s or my 90s or even better. But I want to acknowledge that, I'm so grateful that I've got this opportunity to run right here, right now, and it could be my last race. And I love that other point you made about competitors switching that mindset. And sometimes what I think about, because I'm not racing against other people now, I think most of us aren't. Most people watching, we're racing against a personal best or an expectation or a standard we've set ourselves. So now that person in front of me now is not my competitor, it's my pacer. It's someone I can choose to pace off. And the person behind me is also my pacer. Or if I don't slow up, if I'm going too fast, they become my chaser. They're trying to chase me. So they're helping me, they're supporting me. So I love what you're saying in terms of that mindset, going from that adversarial sort of mindset to the win this together, almost like a flock of birds that fly together to support each other. They're all suffering, but I suspect, they do fly a long way. They're all suffering, I think, but they're doing it together. They're in it. Is that what you talk about, Coach Mark?
Great way of putting it. Yeah, that's it. That's it. All working together. It's an exciting time. Another thing is whenever someone told me this years ago, actually, and I always do it, and I don't do it to sound like I'm bragging or anything like that on the start line. But if someone always says to me, how are you feeling today? And often you hear people, they'll almost jokingly say, oh, not good, or I don't know why I'm here, and all this sort of stuff, which is kind of a laugh, but it actually reinforces things that's kind of you can do without saying, really. It's really just like putting another little hurdle in your way, really. So all I do is someone just says to me, I said, "Hey, how you going today?" I just go, "Oh, I'm good." And often it's quite interesting you say that to someone on a sale line, and they can look quite surprised. They go, "Oh, really?" But but it just reinforces it with you. Even if you're not feeling good, just say, "I'm good. I'm good."
Look, I can attest to that. I tell people that I feel awesome or that I feel pumped, even if I'm a little bit.
Yeah.
And I even do that in the supermarket. I'm checking out, how was your day today? And I don't do the standard sort of, almost automatic, yeah, no, it was good, thanks, or busy. I go, awesome day, and sometimes they ask me, they go, what made it awesome? And I go, did a morning run this morning.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed it. And I can tell they regretted asking. But the thing is, because my response was so different, they asked. But it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Okay, let me ask you one more question, Coach Mark. And that is, okay, if we are feeling tense, you've talked about the mental side of things in terms of, those thought patterns, being grateful. Don't think of racing against other competitors, but more it's a team, it's a kindred spirit. We're all there to help each other out. We're not nervous, we're excited. It's the same thing. Change our mindset around that. People ask you the question, how you feeling? Be pumped, be excited. But what about something we can do physically if we are feeling that excitement? Is there something with our hands or something that we can do to just sort of, I don't know, either release the nervous energy or just start to relax our muscles?
So if we're just too pumped, basically, well, there is. I mean, and again, you want to be excited, but you also want to be fairly calm, if you see what I mean, because you want to be rational. You don't want to have adrenaline just flowing through you, so you leap out of the start line. So I talk about your stride outs as well. I've talked about in a previous video how that hones what your starting pace is. Yes. So you have that in your mind. You're just focusing purely on that first minute and what pace you're going to start. You get the first minute right, and then the nervousness goes once the gun goes anyway, and you're into it.
Yeah.
So if you've got all that, so that'll help calm you, because you know what you have to do for the first minute. You're not thinking, what am I going to do when the gun goes? And then if you're particularly nervous, just do breathing exercises. That's one of the best things you can do. Breathe in for 2 seconds, out for 2 seconds, and every time and then in for 3, out for 3, and you can do that up to, say, the count of 5 or longer if you feel that takes longer to do. So and every time you breathe in, imagine, what's that? Sorry.
So you start with 2 seconds. You breathe in for 2, out for 2, and then you're saying then in for 3, out for 3, then in for 4, out for 4, up to 5. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And every time you breathe in, just imagine it sort of relaxing clouds coming in, and they're sort of extending into your every time you breathe, they go a little bit further into your fingertips and into your feet. And that, again, that's a very powerful thing that you can do when no one else knows you're doing it. You're just standing on the start line, but you're actually doing something very, very positive with your time.
Oh, that's perfect.
So then you're excited, but you're also calm and confident of what you've got to do in that first minute.
Yeah.
And feeling good about things. Can't wait for the gun to go.
Again, I can attest to that. I can remember you giving me that tip about the breathing, and what I found, and thinking about those calming clouds. And not only, I think, does that reduce your heart rate, but it does help. But what I found was sometimes I'd be so nervous or excited before a race, I'd forget about the breathing technique. So what I do now is, if I'm just, when I tumble into bed, I pretend I'm on the start line and I get into my breathing then. And then I fall asleep pretty much straight away, and maybe lucky with that. But anyway, with by doing that, imagining I'm on a start line and breathing, I'm sort of coupling the two things together. So now when I get to a start line, I immediately think about breathing, because I've spent that time coupling those two things together. So I don't know if that's a weird I laugh because sometimes my wife asks me, "What are you thinking about?" And I'm like, "I'm on the start line of a race and I'm breathing." And she's like, "You're in bed. Why are you?" Anyway, maybe that's too much. But anyway, if that's a tip, and I think this is what we offer in these videos, a lot of rich tips. You know, people love them, they can adopt them. And if it's not for them, then no dramas. But Coach Mark, as a quick summary, so certainly feeling grateful about being there for the run. And I think that gets you in a positive mindset that you do want to do this. And there's a reason why you want to do this. And back to your point about going back to the reason why you were doing this, making sure that that's present in your mind, thinking of those around you, not as competitors, but those that are there to run with you and to support you. You're not nervous, you're excited when someone asks you a question. Think deliberately about your answer because it echoes in your mind, and breathe. If you're still feeling super excited and super pumped and you need to bring it down a little bit, breathe. Coach Mark, is that pretty much it, or is there anything else you'd like to add to that?
Yeah, well, that is it. That is it. If I've got time, there's a couple little tips as well for if you might get to the start line where you're not excited at all. You might have just got there and you're standing there and you think, oh, I feel very flat.
Great point. Okay.
And not really motivated or into it. So there's a couple of little things that I've learned over the years as well that can kind of bring up your level. And they're very simple to do. So the first one is just focus on something, you know, in your eye line. It might be another runner, and then very quickly switch your gaze to something further away. It might be a tree that's further away, and then very quickly switch it to something else. It might be a dog or a spectator, or a building, and just keep doing that very quickly. And it's amazing that just accesses every corner of the brain and gets it all fired up. I've found that very good. And then on top of that, just two other things: just clench and unclench your hands very quickly. Okay. And the other thing is just pump your arms a little bit. And yeah, and those three things just lift your mood a bit. Just in that last, you know, you can do that just in the last minute. Especially if it's a race where you need to be up for the first bit. Most people need to be calmed down, but occasionally, you know, we need to be lifted. We don't, because of things going on in our life, we don't always hit the start line, and our mental thing is up to match our physical level. So that can bring things even.
So the looking around, are you looking to look, when you're looking at something like the start line or something in the distance and a competitor and a dog, are you looking to look in very different areas, or is it within the same sort of tunnel? So
totally different areas. Totally different areas. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And close and far away, to the left, to the right.
Oh,
and you
massive range.
Try and do it with your eyes rather than necessarily. You don't have to turn your head, but with your eyes. You're just looking at it. So you do it very quickly, just focusing on one thing, focusing on another, focusing on another.
Okay, looking around. That's new to me. I love that.
Yeah,
I'm gonna try that tomorrow morning for
yeah.
Would that also help? Last question for me, and thank you so much, Coach Mark, for adding that in. Would that also help if sometimes when you know that you're going to hurt in a race, sometimes it's hard to get yourself in that mindset to be able to sort of hurt yourself? And I mean that in a good way. I mean, really push yourself. Sometimes I find myself not on the back foot, not procrastinating. I don't know quite the term, but just, I suppose, apathetic. I'm more really trying to talk myself out of hurting myself to see what I can do in a race before the race has even started. So might that help with that? When you talk about bringing yourself up, would that also help with that, to really just basically switch on?
Yes, it would. Yeah, that would help.
Perfect. Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah, tip. Yeah. It basically stimulates you. That's effectively what it does. Yeah. And as long as your physical prowess matches the mental prowess, then you're away.
Perfect.
But that'll make sure that you're focused on the task at hand. So that, you know, they're all going well. You've got all these people there helping you to run as well as you can, as you said, pacers and chasers, and kindred spirits, and Yeah, and it's something to be celebrated. It's a celebration, an event.
Oh,
So
awesome.
yeah.
I can't wait. Look, I've made a note of all those things. I have parkrun, as you know, coach, tomorrow morning at Arahara Kiki. And yeah, by the time people are watching this video, that race would have happened. So they can look back on the 5th of August, see how I went if they want. But yeah, I'm going to be using some of those techniques on the start line. So thank you for that other video and that other information you gave us about physically warming up for something perfect like the 5K. And that'll take care of the first 25 minutes of that half an hour before we start. Then the last 5 minutes, we've got this stuff now. Thank you. And then, yeah, I'll rock into the race tomorrow. I can't wait. I'm pumped to try this. Coach Mark,
Yeah.
as always, on
whatever happens in the race, people will know that you were right on the start line anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, they'll say his first 10 meters and everything up to that was incredible. No. Okay, here we go. Coach Mark, on behalf of everyone, thank you so much again for continuing to join us and sharing your insights with us. Really appreciate that. Coach Mark, everybody watching the channel, see you later. Thank you so much.
My pleasure, Darcy. See ya.
See ya. Catch you in the next one.